Hey, everybody, welcome back to the CDC podcast. In this episode, I want to share with you a client conversation that I had talking about creating space inside of your practice. And I'm working with this client one-on-one, and he's been able to successfully build a team, which is incredible. And now he's spending more time working on his own personal life. He's got health goals that he's working towards. He's got different charities and soccer tournaments and stuff that he's a part of, which is really great. But every single conversation we seem to be having, he's in this energetic limbo of like, I don't really know how I feel having more personal time, and I'm not really sure what to feel about not always working on my business. And this is one of the most interesting things, and it's something that all entrepreneurs face when you go from being an entrepreneur where you're working inside of your business or inside of your practice to go into the actual business owner, which is like now you have time freedom. The business is growing without you. You don't always have to be inside it, but you feel like, what the heck should I be doing with my time? And it's an interesting thing. For some people, it's a fear. For others, it's very exciting. But I want to share with you kind of my mindset behind it, when you need to give yourself grace versus when you need to give yourself discipline. And then also understanding through this process, well, what do I do with this time? Because it is something that is very important. If you're going to transition into being the CEO of your business and you're going to stop taking one-on-one sessions, or you're going to build out this team to be able to build this business for you, the question becomes like, what do you actually do with your time really when you should be working on your business? So to start, I want to open up the conversation with the feeling. Most of the professionals I'm working with and the business owners I'm working with, they're at this space now where they're so full, they've either worked on a team or they've started to build online programs, which is taking back their time. They're not accustomed to not doing. As a matter of fact, every single coach and practitioner I work with, they're very good doers. They understand all the how, they take action very quickly, they don't need to be told to do something, they implement right away. And the go-to action, or I should say reaction for most of these people, is they are in fact going to find ways to fill time because they are doers. That's what they do. Usually that time was spent finding more clients, working with the clients directly, working on the client plans, maybe doing social media because they're obsessed with doing and being inside of their business. However, there does come this point where it's like, okay, now that you have this time back, there's going to be this space, this compulsion where you feel like you're not doing enough, or where you feel like you're not really contributing to your business's growth. Now, I know I could say just flat out the gate, more is not better. So doing more is not going to bring more of a result to your business. You know this, but it doesn't get past the feeling. And one of the things that I was sharing with this client is there's a difference between a feeling, how you're feeling, and an emotion. Emotions have feelings. Feelings do not have emotions. And he's like, what do you mean by that? So let me explain it this way. The way that you feel the back of your hand. When you are feeling your hand, there's no emotion tied to it. You are actually feeling a hand. However, if I can say, hey, there was a person who rubbed my hand and that made me feel uncomfortable, so now I'm going to attach the emotion of uncomfortability to this feeling that I have. And that's a physical example, but there are a lot of examples that we experience this. We can have an energetic feeling, we can have a mental feeling, we can have a physical feeling, and it could largely be due to something that you've never done before. If we're experiencing something for the very first time, or maybe we're doing something and it is completely out of our comfort zone, we don't really know how to feel. I don't know how I feel about this. I don't know how I feel about not having a schedule where I went from having 15 one-on-one clients to now everyone's in a group. I don't know how I feel about having those calendar voids. I don't know how I feel about going from I'm doing all the social media and I'm doing all the admin work to now I have a team doing these things. I don't know how I feel not doing 5 team meetings a week where now I'm just doing 1 or 2 team meetings a week. And so this void leaves you a lot of space to do a lot of thinking, to do a lot of breathing, observing, or to do a lot of panicking and anxious action, which is what we call struggled action. And that's what most of the practitioners do. you start taking struggled action on your business. The moment you hand something off to someone, you're micromanaging people on your team. Or the moment you give away your social media, you go, well, now I got to go start another social media platform instead of mastering that one. Or even something like the more you transition away from one-on-one, the more you start putting in too many programs because you're quickly trying to fill that time. This is a feeling. The emotion piece, and the reason why I say feelings and emotions are separate, is because an emotion is what we attach to something to help us process through. Emotion is energy in motion. It helps us process through what that feeling is. So when I have space in my calendar, if I go and then attach the emotion of happiness and excitement, like, wow, this is incredible. I have more time in my calendar than I've ever had in my entire life. Look at all these things that I can take on. That feeling of excitement reinforces the feeling of feeling good. That emotion of happiness becomes excitement, and then they're attached together. So normally our emotion has a feeling attached for us to help us process and recognize what that is. If it's a positive emotion, we're going to feel great about having that space. We're going to feel great about building the team. We're going to feel great about creating the new offer. And if it has a negative emotion attached to it, we're not going to feel great. This is going to be something that might frustrate us. We might have fear. There might be anxiety around it. You might start micromanaging your team. You have to separate the feeling with it being new with your emotion, the way you think you're supposed to feel or you're trying to feel towards something, because they are two separate things. So after I explained that to my client, he was like, okay, so I recognize the two differences. So I have this feeling of now I have a lot of space in my calendar and I'm giving personal time to myself. So I said, so what is the emotion that's coming up for you? And he goes, guilt. I've never taken this much time for myself before. I have this team. I know that I could be doing things for my business. Notice how I said could, not should, and that's what he said too. I could be doing things for my business, but instead I'm doing things to work towards my health. I'm taking time to go swim. I'm having conversations with my wife, and I don't know how I feel about that, which is why there's guilt. And the feeling of guilt simply becomes the fact that he's never spent that time before. And this is where I want to share with you the aspect of setting standards in your business. Inside of your business, and I would also argue your personal life, you should have a standard that you set that determines whether or not you are meeting the goals and achieving the objectives that you have, or you're not meeting them. The standard could be something like lead follow-up happens every day. I'm doing a daily marketing promotion. I'm signing up 2 to 3 clients every day. Whatever the standard is, you know what standards you have for your business. Usually it's how many clients you sign up, how many consultations or how many program offerings you put out there, how many people get serviced. You have set standards for your business. When you are experiencing something new, like a new program, or you're now have this new space in your calendar and you're not really sure how to feel about it, understand that the standards in your business don't change. We don't now change the goal. We don't move the goalpost. The standard is fixed. What we change is the internal guideposts that we are feeling towards that standard. So if you've got now a bunch of free time in your schedule, or you're transitioning away, and you're either going to let your team service your practice, or you're going to create online programs that give you more time to service your practice. Whenever you choose something that is not your business, you have to say to yourself, am I choosing it because it is benefiting me? It's what I want, in which case you need to give yourself grace. Like, I'm going to spend time with my wife. I'm going to take care of my health because that's very important. I'm going to look towards investing and spend a lot of time investing my money in different areas. If there are other aspects that your business has prevented you from doing up until this point, and you have the ability to do that, then what you need to give yourself is grace. You need to say to yourself, this is actually to serve me in a better way. It's actually helping me because when I'm a healthier person, I can show up to my business stronger. When I'm investing in other areas, I can then contribute more money to my business, more impact to my business. So that's where you give yourself grace. That's where you say to yourself, this feeling, although new, is not something I have to be afraid of. It's not something that I have to be uncomfortable with. I just have to fully lean in and trust that these things that I'm doing are going to be for me. Now, if you're saying to yourself, now that I have this newfound time in my business, I've become lazy, I've stopped marketing, I've stopped promoting, I am not doing the daily non-negotiables in my business, and I know that it's impacting me. I'm actually avoiding these things because now that I've taken more time from me as the practitioner, I don't actually know what to do with my time. If you're like, I have no idea how to actually continue to grow this business, that's where you need discipline. Grace is on one end where it's serving you in a better way. Discipline is where you need to actually start looking at, okay, what are the things you should be doing inside of your business? So we don't change the goal. We don't change our standards that we set for ourselves. We either change the way we internally feel to give ourselves grace because it's a benefit, or we change to the other side, which is we say to ourselves, hey, look, I need to be more disciplined, and we start taking more action on our business. I can guarantee you 99% of you listening have no problem taking action. I'm not saying just jump and go do the next thing. That struggled action, that actually makes you feel more uncomfortable because then you're going to take a bunch of actions in your business that don't actually work. And then you're going to come back and be like, well, I listened to Andrew. He told me to take action. And guess what? I did a bunch of things with that free time and it didn't work. So now I'm going to go back to filling my time with clients. No. That's not what I'm saying. It's not about taking struggled action. It's about recognizing, hey, I need to actually sit down and figure out what am I supposed to be taking actions on. And this is where I'm going to talk about the next piece, which is what the hell do you do inside of your business when you have free time? You're no longer the practitioner now. So what are you supposed to be doing? So for me, it's always impact, income, investment. Those are the 3 I's. Impact is for your clients. How do I create a bigger footprint for them to succeed more in my world? Income is what are the things I need to be doing for my business that are actually going to be making money so I can pay this team, pay the marketing, and pay myself. And then the last one is investment. What am I going to put my time, my energy, and my extra resources on so that way in the future this can continue to scale and grow? Investment, you would consider visionary work. What is my plan for the future? What am I going to start to line up so that way down the road it is going to pay off? So let's start with impact. Anytime you have taken yourself out of one-on-one inside of your business, the way that you continue to impact your clients without trading more of your one-on-one time is you start creating either programs or offers that are providing value in addition to the service you're already giving. This is lean into your content in your social media, provide more free value to get more clients up front. This actually low-key impacts your income. Start creating master classes and trainings where your people can not only buy, but maybe your people can watch for free because you have the time to be able to do that. Start creating other offers or other different resources. Start partnering with other professionals so that way you can help them in other areas that maybe you haven't been able to help them before. Creating this level of impact inside of your business is what gets existing clients, past clients, and future clients to stay in your world longer with you, which is what you want. That's how you make a real impact. A real impact is where you help them with the initial problem, and then you start solving all of these other challenges that they didn't even know that they had. So if it's a masterclass, if it's a seminar, if it's creating some trainings, if it's posting more on social media and creating content to build awareness, all of that is creating a larger impact and a greater footprint that's going to build your business. The second thing is income. When it comes to your income, this is very simple. Your marketing should always be running all the time. Your social media should always be running all the time. Your lead nurture or your nurture inside of your email should always be running. These are the things that continue to increase your income. When you create visibility, when you create awareness, and then you create an opportunity, this is what allows them to join your world. And those are the only things, when you start taking yourself out of trading your one-on-one time, those are the only things you should be focusing on. Because truthfully, either your team or your self-paced programs or your group options will take care of the client delivery stuff. Don't worry about admin work. Don't worry about how perfect does my landing page look. Don't worry about creating backlinks. Don't worry about fooling around with software. That's all wasted time. And the practitioners who aren't accustomed to having giant spaces in their calendar, they start going to that stuff because they're really familiar with that stuff. Don't do that. Lean more into your marketing. Lean more into your messaging. Lean more into the things that are going to be able to build more income, more offers, creating your team, training your team so they can service in more areas. These are the things that you should be focusing on for income. The last part is investment. Visionary work or investment, which is like, how do I invest in my company so it continues to grow more? So I said it before, you can invest in your team. Sometimes this is providing your teams different trainings or bringing in specialists or speakers to grow your team and really strengthen them. That's important. You can also invest time in having visionary blocks. Visionary blocks are really great. This is where like 2 or 3 hours a week you can sit down and you can start to future pace what your business looks like a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, because the more clarity you can get behind your journey and behind the experience and vision of your business, the more your business is actually going to start to transform into that. Think about it like you are the captain on a ship at the very top deck. You need to see way well ahead in order for you to be able to make changes and turns into your business. Visionary work is talking about what are your future services going to look like? What is your future team going to look like? Where is the future position of you inside of your business if your business were to double? These are all great questions that will allow you to then say, where do I have to start investing time, money, and energy? So outside of investing it in your team, you start investing it into visionary work. Then there is a third part. You can also invest money and resources into like physical financial investing, which is like something me and Lorna have done. We gave $100K last year to a like a realtor kind of corporation. They have like different. It's like a home. Oh my God, I'm explaining this poorly. It is basically a portfolio of home mortgages and other things, and then effectively you go in, and then your money makes more money, which is great. So you can actually use business money to make more money for you in a passive way. Either way, every single one of these 3 I's is very, very important. I always put impact over income because when you chase money and you put impact second, people know that you're selling them BS. People are not fired up about your services. They're not fired up about the offer. And so they actually stop buying from you. And then what happens is not only do you stop making an impact, you stop making money, and then it's hard for you to do visionary work. So impact always comes first. Income is second. What's going to bring me money? And then investment. Where are you going to invest that time, energy, and that effort in? When you start focusing on these 3 things, you're going to have no problem filling your time. And you're actually not going to feel guilty about having more individual time, because when you are taking that time, you're going to feel present in the moment. You're going to feel confident with what you're doing. And a lot of the coaches and practitioners that I'm working with one-on-one, these people understand that that personal time is important. Even if you are not working on your business, have a hobby, build your relationship with your partner or your spouse, start working on your health journey. If your health journey isn't so great, start looking towards other areas in which maybe you can increase your finances or your investing. There are other areas that you can work on using that one-on-one time that are actually going to be just as beneficial to growing your business than just always working on your business. Remember, and we'll go back to this all the time, you are trying to separate yourself from your business. So that way at the end of this journey, and the end looks different for everyone, it's either someone buys your practice, it's either someone buys your client base, it's either someone goes and maybe you hire a team member and then they take over the practice. Maybe it's just you build self-paced programs and they pay you forever. Regardless of what the end looks like in this process, you can only get there when it runs without you. So if you still have something where you're trading that one-on-one time all the time, it doesn't actually matter what you've designed or built. That's just a very elaborate job. Having the time for yourself is the ultimate goal. And I didn't realize for me that it would be the ultimate goal until going through COVID, I had 100% of my time back. And I say 100% because we were all virtual, self-paced programs, online programs, group programs. I wasn't trading any of my time, and I maybe had like 6 hours of actually working with a client one-on-one, like one-on-one in total for the whole week. That's when I was like, holy cow, there's something that's here. And it doesn't actually matter how you change the business. Even if you want to have a clinic where you've got multiple locations, that's totally fine. You still shouldn't be the one working in it. Because if you are, then how can you be the visionary? How can you be the person who's leading if you're always stuck in the day-to-day grind or the one-on-one work? And I will end this episode with this. The first time you create this space for you, it's going to feel weird as shit. Of course, because you're a chronic doer. I was a doer. And your body, your energy, you're going to be vibrating because you don't know what the heck to do with that time, what the heck to do with that space, or where that energy should go. Understand that that's normal. This is your first time experiencing this. I would argue that's freaking phenomenal. It means you can actually either double down on your business in a really great way by setting some new standards, incredible, or you can actually start to take back some of your time and feel comfortable knowing that your business is actually growing, but it's growing without you. Either way, it's important to separate the feeling from the emotion. Do not be uncertain, because when we feel uncertain, usually we unconsciously attach negativity to uncertainty. Like last time I checked, no one gets fired up about feeling uncertain. You're not walking around like, oh my goodness, I don't know what I'm going to do. This is great. 9 times out of 10, uncertainty gets attached to negativity because our body likes to know what we're doing next. So does our mind, so does our energy. And so what happens is you start to feel bad about that, and then you will revert back to your old way of operating inside of your business. That's not what you want. That's what I told him. Now he's doubled down. He feels confident with what he's doing. And that's what I'm going to tell you. And if you're at this point now where you feel uncomfortable about taking that one-on-one time, this is actually the perfect opportunity to jump in and work with me one-on-one. The reason why is because it's important that you fill the time that you have with the right things. Sometimes that's business things like the 3 I's. Sometimes it's actually personal stuff where we then help you find the teammate or help you put together the actual processes for you to keep that time your time. The last thing we want to do is have you revert back to an old way of doing business where not only are you not energetically aligned, but now it's also a struggle for you financially. And now you're making these decisions on the fly because you made a big change and it's not paying off the way you thought it would. Most of the practitioners we work with are really great doers, and they're fantastic practitioners. And the reason why they haven't fully kept their own time their own is simply because a lot of the times they don't actually know what to fill the time with than more clients or more admin work. That's actually not the solution. This is where I'll hop into your business, and like a partner, I'm going to share with you what's going to be the most effective for you to be able to actually keep your time your own. Go on vacation, spend time with your kids, join a soccer league, do all the fun stuff that you can do, knowing that your business is going to run itself. So this is almost the end of September, which is crazy. It is literally 7 days away from the end of September. We still have spots for the overflow upgrade. There are 2 spots left for the overflow upgrade. So do not miss your opportunity to hop in, work with me and my team one-on-one, where it's going to be me and you working on your business together and freeing up your time. Thanks guys for watching this episode, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.